in my opinion, that's perfectly fine. People can disagree. You're allowed to have whatever opinion you'd like to have. I'm allowed to have whatever opinion I'd like to have. But I'm a psychotherapist, and I've been a psychotherapist for 20 years. So I hear things through a very particular lens as a result of being a psychotherapist and the experiences I've had through those 20 years. And that has led me to want to ask you a few questions about some of this content. Are you okay with that?
100%.
Okay. Because one of the things I'd like to start with. Are you familiar with the term um, naive reality?
I can deduce what it means, but I'm not familiar with that specific term scientifically.
Well, so I want to use the term clinically. Like some of the terms that we use, I want to use the term clinically, and it's the psychological phenomenon when people believe their own perception of reality is the only objective one. So when I watch you, and particularly on like the Jubilee interview, for example, and um, someone gives you data, you often respond with your own subjective reality. And it made me want to ask you, what do you think of the idea of of the idea of the concept naive reality? Now, naive reality, I don't mean to call you naive, like that's why I want to be clear. I'm using the clinical label, like that's the word that
Yeah,
we
yeah,
use.
I get it. I don't agree that I live in that reality. I think I'm pretty practical. When someone's giving me statistical data points that's unverified, I can't just run with it just because they said it. And if you look at some of the Jubilee footage, people were claiming all kind of things and they got fact checked and they were wrong. Some of the things that they said about Booker T. Washington, the guy who said he was an educator, and it lied about, flat out lied or had not as he mixed up statements from Booker T. Washington book Up from Slavery, and then he goes and says it, and I can't go and verify it on the spot. And when others bring up statistical data points from studies that I haven't been able to verify, it's impossible for me to go and make an argument about something that's unverifiable. And I think that you would know in any argument that you would make or any discussion that you would have, if I come up and give something that you can't validate or verify, you either concede to it or you say, look, I object to the premise. I have education that leads me to believe certain things that's counter to things that was presented during the show, and I expressed that. I don't think that my reality is the only reality. I know a lot of people. I got a lot of friends that don't agree with me. You know, I, People forget I'm still black. My whole family is black, and we don't always agree. We have spirited discussions on certain things. I don't think my dad agreed with some of the things that I say. I think he agreed with most of it, but we have spirited discussions on this. I don't live in an echo chamber where I'm the only one that has have a reality that everybody has to bow down to. And so I just disagree. And I think it's fine for us to disagree. The problem that I do have is when people say that somehow I'm not black because we have a difference of agreement, or somehow I can't handle the truth, or I hate my own skin and I'm gonna sell out Uncle Tom bootlicker because I have a difference of opinion. In reality, a lot of black people have a difference of opinion. We're not all monolithic in our thought process. I think Thomas Sowell has a very different perspective than other economists who are black. We go down the list. Our current, and I would say one of the most honorable Supreme Court justices, Clarence Thomas. I bet him and Thurgood Marshall have a difference of opinion. I don't think either one of them are invalidated because of their opinions. And so that's the point that I have I have contention with. A lot of things that I said on there was based on evidence, based on research, and based on my own life lived experience.
So you said earlier that when someone presents you with data that you can't verify, it's hard to argue with. Correct? Did I catch that right?
It's not fair to make a debate argument on unverified data because you're arguing from a false premise. So I can't concede to something and I haven't verified, because people do lie and people do tell half truths, and I haven't had a chance to evaluate the study. Right? If you gave me a study and I haven't been able to look at it or verify it, how then will I give you a fair enough argument in return? So I don't want to argue something that I haven't been able to verify. And most of those individuals were just making up stuff.
So how would you be able to determine if someone is somebody that you could listen to versus not? Like for example, I'm a very credible psychotherapist. I've been trained. I've been doing this a long time. So if I said something, and I'll just give you an irrelevant point that will be accurate, but a relevant point. If I said to you, the counseling field was created in Boston, Massachusetts, by a group of individuals that wanted to help people find job placements. That's a fact. I'm going to guess you didn't know that because you're not a trained psychotherapist. Like, at what point do you say, I can listen to that data point, even though that's the first person I've heard say that data point? I don't have to go fact check it. I can listen to that data point.
Yeah. Yeah. So just when it comes to you, I think you may be credible, but I think you are biased. And the reason I say that is because of some of the critiques you've had of me in previous videos without even meeting me or knowing me or interviewing me. You made some suggestions about who I was, and I thought it was unfair. However, if you make a statement of fact, I don't have a reason to believe that it's different because I don't have any basis to argue it. Like, for instance, you gave me that statistical data point, or not data point, but you gave me that factual reality. I have not read or heard or have any reason to doubt what you said. Now, if you said that counseling and therapy was generated to make sure black people will never make it in life, then we're going to have an argument about it or a conversation about it, because that does not seem to be